Far-right National Front scores gains in local elections as voters punish President François Hollande and his left-wing allies. Let's get to our next guest, Yannick Naud, portfolio manager at Sturgeon Capital, and our guest host today is Clem, CEO of ADVFN, who joins us from Los Angeles. Yannick, let me kick things off with you. On some days, when there's bad China data out, the market, global markets, not just the Chinese market, is completely rattled. But we're seeing surprising resilience today. Why is that?
Well, it was a surprising number. It's a very weak number. Nevertheless, you have to keep in mind that the Chinese policymakers have plenty of tools in their disposal in order to try to boost demand, either from monetary policy. We see the interest rates are low for quite some time compared to the heights that we had in June or in December last year. In terms of the renminbi, obviously one of the tools could be to lower the currency. And we could see, in fact, the good old investment and boosting the demand, local demand in China again.
You could argue that all we're seeing in the Shanghai market now is essentially bargain hunting, because we're now into a bear market territory and we've seen these huge declines for the Shanghai market. Would you buy into the Shanghai market right now, given that there are all these skeletons in the closets still?
Well, if you look at valuation alone, if you look at price-earning ratio compared to what you have in Europe or in USA, it's much lower price-earning ratio. So they're bound to be some value within the Chinese market, even though the situation is not as great as it could be. I think the real challenge in China is to understand that the economy is going to rebalance and try to find what's going to be the exact sector that will benefit from it. One could be retail and one could be e-commerce. China is at the forefront of e-commerce now worldwide. It's not a copycat of Unimo. A lot of those companies are doing very new things that are in fact in advance compared to other countries.
Another intriguing story is Abenomics in Japan. And Clem, I want to bring you in on that one, because it seems as though since the start of the year, even since the third quarter of last year, Abenomics, in terms of what the market is doing, has stalled. We're seeing some strengthening in the yen. We've also seen some sizable losses for the Nikkei. Do you think that Abenomics has failed, Clem?
I think it's on the edge of failing. Institutionally, the Japanese government is deflationist, because that plays to the old and an aging society. Abe wants a strong Japan, a young Japan, and that's obviously an inflationist agenda. So there's those two forces fighting, and it looks like Abe's on the edge of losing, and then you'll just see a return to the old ways and of grinding deflation return. So I think he's very much on the edge of that, because all they have to do is continue to balk him and his move to create a real inflation, and he will lose his election. He'll lose his position. So I think there's a real battle going on between inflationists and deflationists in the institutions of Japan, and the inflationists are losing.
Well, we have to keep in mind that the stock market in Japan last year had an incredible run. So far it's a bit more difficult. I think the jury is still out. On the 1st of April we'll see there will be an increase of the consumption tax from 5 to 8%. If we look at previous example, back I think in 1995, when they increased the VAT from 3 to 5, we saw some negative news. So we will see in April if people will still continue to buy car or a big ticket item, or if all the consumption was just pushed forward. Right now, it's very difficult to have a very precise idea if it's going to work or not.
All right, let's turn our attention to what we can expect from the European markets today. We're getting Eurozone flash PMIs.